So the final question, more of a personal question, is that there's obviously been a long history of people who are from India coming to the valley, over decades, and you and I we talk to the same people for over years, and a refrain you hear often is hey, I want to go back at some point, right? And
Yeah.
it becomes hard to go back. So now you've actually done that, right? And I know that was part of your plan. What advice would you give to people here who are maybe thinking about it, it's maybe in the back of their mind, and they're not really sure how to do it? India's going to be a different place now when they go home, right?
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you impart?
I'm going to try and not talk in cliches because there's a lot of
Sure.
cliches around this. Um, my first point of advice would be trying to find something there while sitting here and having a full-time job here is near impossible. So if you have the conviction that you have a future professionally in India, you want to be closer to family, whatever it might be, you got to um, uproot yourself from here and move there before you find something there in most cases. And I know that sounds very risky. The other thing you can do is go with one of the bigger firms, a Facebook or a Google or an SAP or a Oracle or a Microsoft, and move to their equivalent development centers or sales and marketing teams in India. And that's maybe less risky. Um, some of the things I found out over the last year and a half that I thought I'd expected, but I hadn't really known, is that, and even I have, I looked at the previous generation who came here, and a lot of their ideas about India were set in stone when they left India, and they still believe that that is India. But India has moved forward, and in many ways is more progressive than what they see here and what they see their kids doing over here. So that even happened to me, right? Um, uh, I left India a couple of decades ago and went back. While it's the same in many cases, there's still lack of systems and infrastructure and a maddeningly slow and bureaucratic system of customer service. Um, Things have changed a lot. There's far less poverty that you see around. And you won't necessarily know that if you just went there for the first time today, but I've seen it in snapshots over the last 30, 40 years. Um, People on the streets have good clothes on, they're well fed, they have a sense of purpose, they have energy. There's definitely energy over there. What's changed also is you see tons of cars on the road. Previously, you'd see motorcycles and scooters. People have got cars now. There's now a lot of traffic jams and pollution because of that, but that's happening. And um, a lot of these companies we talk about, the mobile operators in India, the banks, the car companies, the internet companies, all have emerged in the last 15 to 20 years. They didn't exist before that, right? So you can see all this happening at the same time, and that's one thing that people here there might be a sense of dislocation when you go there, because everything's growing at the same time. Print is growing, TV is growing, internet is growing, mobile is growing, banking is growing, media is growing. Everything's growing. Whereas here, print is declining, TV is declining. You know, it's very different there when everything's growing up at the same time. When a company launches, it's not as if an e-commerce company launches there. It's not as if organized retail has been there for a long time. It's just coming up. So organized physical retail is coming up, internet retail, e-commerce is coming up, mobile retail, mobile commerce is coming up at the same time. Catalog commerce, direct marketing is coming up at the same time. So as a company, you sometimes have to launch 4 things at the same time. But and despite all this, there's a lot of optimism. I think I'll give you one example. In retail, in the US, 7% of retail is online now. In different categories, there are different percentages, but overall 7%. In China, I think it's 13% today of retail is online today. And we believe that in China, it can get to about 20-25%. In India, there's no reason why online retail cannot get to 30-35% of retail. And the reason is there's no big chains in India that are already there that are taking care of a big part of the market. A lot of it is unorganized. So the opportunities are also much bigger there, and that's what we're excited about.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Awesome.